Planet, and I am a computer scientist, also a data scientist. And what do I mean by that? I teach computers to do the things they're supposed to do. Okay? So it's going to be a very interactive session for us all, because I want us all to participate. Okay? Are we all together? All right. So I'm going to start with a question. What was the earliest recognized device for computing, if you know? You all know, right? Abacus. Okay, now the second question is, when was it used? Which period was it used? One person? Okay, I'm going to tell you. So, abacus was the earliest recognized device for computing, and it was discovered in a place called Mesopotamia. I think, have you heard of that? Okay, so it was discovered in Mesopotamia around 2500 BCE or BC, that is before Common Era or before Christ. So it was a hand-operated calculator helping to add and subtract numbers. So we all do that each and every day in school, right? If I tell you a computer does those operations, that's all that the computer does, do you believe me? We'll reach there. So the earliest recognized device for computing was the abacus. And then came something called the astrolabe. Who has ever heard of that name? The astrolabe. So over the next 4,000 years, from 2500 before Christ, we had something called the astrolabe. And the astrolabe, it was developed by humans to do clever computing than the abacus, right? And it enabled ships to calculate the latitude at sea. So it was used for navigation in the sea. Okay? And remember, by this time, it was not called a computer yet. It was just a device. Okay? And then, in around again 2000 years, there's a certain machine that was introduced, and it's just kind of a ruler. It's called the slide rule, and it was assisting with multiplication and division. So we all do that, right? By hand, okay? But once you have a lot of computation that you need to work on, that is, if you want to subtract or add big numbers, you need, okay, those are the devices that were used, okay? Until this point, it was not called a computer. So, the astrolabe and the abacus was used only for addition and subtraction. And then the slide rule, it was used for multiplication and division. Also, addition and subtraction. Okay. So the earliest documented use of the word computer, it was in 1613. That was a long way ago, right? So, and it wasn't a machine, it was just a job title. Like nowadays, maybe somebody says like, I am a doctor. So for for computers, actually computers, it was just a job title. It was not a physical machine. And we are going way back for us to understand what is computer science in the first place and where it came from, okay? Because everything has history. So, until 1800, computers were referred to people who are doing the mathematics, that is the addition, the subtraction, and the multiplication. And interestingly, let me see ladies in the house. Yeah, so imagine those days, ladies who are doing the mathematics were the computers. Imagine that. So it's interesting, right? So there are these ladies who are concentrating so much on mathematics, and computer science at that time, it was meant for women because that job title was for women. Okay? And then there was a German mathematician who introduced a physical machine to do the subtraction, multiplication, and dividing of numbers. It was just some kind of a machine that they turn around, a mechanical machine to add the numbers. So, did you know that, let's say, for instance, you want to do 17 divided by 5. I want you to do that math for me. Let's try out something interesting. 17 divided by 5. Okay, so let me show you these devices. So the first device was, who knows how, okay, who has a general idea of how it looks like? An abacus. Do you have abacuses in your home? Oh, that's interesting. So let me show you how it looks. So can you see the abacus? So that was the abacus. So it was the first, let's say it was the first computer to do addition and subtraction. And then we have the astrolabe. So that's the astrolabe. It's an interesting machine. So it was used for navigation in the sea, so that you can be able to tell the sense of direction where you are during the sailing. Okay. So who has an idea of the slide rule? So that is the slide rule. It was used for multiplication and division. Okay. And then none of those devices were called computers. It was just a device to do multiplication, computation, that is mathematical computation. And then the computers, the first computers, those are the first computers. That is interesting. So they were all women who were doing mathematics, and they had a lot of problems to calculate, and they were using tables. So they were writing all the computation in tables, and then those are the first computers. That is actually it was referred to people. Okay. So and then now the German mathematician introduced that device. Can you imagine? So can you imagine doing mathematics with that machine? Right, so are we all together? Okay, so this was introduced by a German mathematician, and it was used for subtracting, multiplication, and dividing of numbers. So once you have a number 2, they will turn it twice. So it's just a mechanical machine. They turn it like 2, and then they use the other levers to move it to the next level. So it's a complex machine, but it was used by that time. Okay. So still we are trying to understand where is this computer science. Okay, where did it come from? So I gave you a task. What is 17 divided by 5? 3.4. Okay. All right. So do you know that you can do division by subtracting? Did you know that? Okay. All right. Maybe I got it wrong. You have 17 divided by 5. So once you subtract 5, you get 12. And then you subtract 5, you get 7. And then you subtract 5, and then you remain with 2, right? What is 17 divided by 5? 3.4. So I got it wrong. Right? So you subtracted, you get 12, and then you get 7, and then you subtract 5, you remain with. Okay, so this was how the computation was done at that time. So using this machine, so actually it was just doing subtraction, but at the same time you can use it to do the division. Okay. Okay. And then maybe those people who, okay, some of us are in maybe high school and you already use this. So in that era, after the machines, because the machines were, it was complex to even to manufacture those things, and it was used only for specific scientists. But mathematics was for all people to do that. So to reach more people, they introduced another form of computation, and that is the mathematical table. You know this thing? You have seen this somewhere? So during those era, they were using the mathematical tables. So for instance, you want to do something like a cube root or a square root of small numbers, you can do that with your head. But once you have lots of computation that you need to do, all those computations were pre-computed in tables, and it was assembled by the human computers, who were the women. You remember the women that I saw you? So all of them did the computation and they put it in tables. It was a very hard task, right? It was enjoyable for them? It was hard, right? Okay, so during now that time, then came something called the World War, okay? So 20th century, in the 20th century, just before the 20th century, there was an introduction of these tables, and it was done by the human computers, that is, the women who were doing the calculation. And at that time, it came the Second World, the First World War, and in the First World War, you can imagine the technology was there, that was there at that time. It was, maybe they've created maybe some kind of ballistic or some form of a gun, and they need to do precise computation. If we throw something at a certain projection, how it reached to the enemies, and they were using this mathematical test. So I'm going to show you, this, okay? So you have a gun that was used in the Second World War. And then this is a table that has been pre-computed. It's not very clear, but it shows the projection on how, okay, at which angle do you need to point the gun, and at what speed, depending on certain conditions like temperature and the weather. So that was how computers was used at that time. And at that time, it was just the mathematical table. Okay? Now, this was called the range tables. We have the mathematical table, and then we have the range table. Okay, and then came someone who said, okay, we need to change this situation of all the tables, and we need to create nice computer so that it can do its work on its own. So this was the earliest computer that was built. How does it look like? It's so big and it's very mechanical. Yeah, so it was proposed by some person, okay, he's called Charles Babbage at that time, and he proposed a machine. This machine is called a difference engine. Wow, it had big names, right? So it's called the difference engine, which computed the approximation of polynomials. Who's in high school? Okay, if you're not in high school, you'll reach it, okay? Oh, nice. All of you are in high school, right? Most of you are in high school? Okay, so have you, okay, for those in high school, have you read about polynomials before? It's in Form 3 or Form 4? Okay, who are in Form 4? Form 3? Okay, you learn about it. So be keen in class so that you can learn about that. So there's polynomials. So this machine was used to calculate the approximation of polynomials. And polynomials are just, it's a mathematical concept to describe several variables, like maybe you have two variables. For instance, you have something like range and air pressure, and you need to find the relationship between two variables. For instance, you can say you have wind speed and you have sunshine, and you can try to imagine how these two variables interact. Okay, so the difference engine was used to do that work, and also it was used to calculate the logarithms. Okay, I think you've heard of that. The log, you know that, right? So the difference engine was used to calculate that, and also it was used to calculate trigonometric functions. Once you have trigonometric functions, it actually you use the math tables, right? You use the math tables for that. So at that time, this was the first computer that was used to calculate the trigonometric functions and the logarithms and the polynomials. Okay? And you can imagine it's all math. That's why mathematics is very, very important in computer science. Okay? So imagine this device was 15 tons. It was a very big machine, 15 tons, and even the person who came up with this machine didn't manage to build it because it was too huge and the resources weren't available, and the project was abandoned. So sad, right? Yeah. But in 1991, historians tried to finish up the project based on the drawings of the scientists. And an interesting thing, guess what? It works. So it was very, very interesting, okay? So while Charles Babbage was constructing this machine, he thought of a more sophisticated machine, even an efficient machine than this one. And he called it the analytical engine. Those days things they looked big and they had to use these buzzwords or big words. So the machine thought of that is more sophisticated than this, it was called the analytical engine. Do you want to look at it? Who has a rough idea of how it looks like? Okay, let's have a look at it. That was the analytical engine. It's even more sophisticated, but it looks complex, right? So unlike the difference engine, all the other devices, the difference engine and all the other devices that we've talked of, it was used, it was just used for specific purpose. But the analytical engine was to be used for general purpose, okay, for everything, okay. Just like how we are using computers right now to watch movies, to do maybe science on it, and to do word processing and do calculations. So it was it was for general purpose. So, however, at that time, the idea was so ambiguous, it was too big, but it was ahead of its time, because they were trying to think of how the future would work. So the idea of the automatic computer that could guide itself in doing the task at that time, it was like it was a huge dream for them. So they didn't manage to accomplish it by themselves. So the next thing that I'm going to show you, it's a very, very interesting thing. Okay? So there's this lady who's seeing these scientists trying to come up with machines. and he thought of, what can I do with these machines that are more sophisticated? Her name, she was called Ada Lovelace, okay? Or Ada Lovelace. I couldn't get a picture of her, but this was the painting because it was a long way back. So there's Ada, okay? So she saw the scientists trying to do the computations on these big machines, and then she thought of, what? Are we all together? Are we all together? Okay. So for Ada, first of all, she was an English mathematician, and she wrote something called hypothetical programs for the analytical engine, okay? So you remember the analytical engine, and then she thought of, okay, I can be able to write something for this analytical engine to work, and those were called programs. So actually a computer can't do things on its own, you have to program it. So actually Ada was the world's first programmer. And as our host talked earlier, she said about owning your dreams, right? Imagine Ada didn't have to interact with that machine, but she thought of, I can be able to program this machine that is hypothetical. It's not existing yet, but she created programs for it in her own mind. That is interesting, right? Okay. Now, let's move on like 100 years up to around 1890s. In 1890s. So we had this machine, okay? So this machine, in the US at that time, in 1890s, there's something called the census. What is the census? Counting of people, so that the government can be able to plan about its resources for the citizens. So in 1890s in America, it took around 7 years to compile all the papers and then take back the results to the government. You can imagine, census in the US takes 10 years. You go for 10 years, you take all the numbers, counting people, and then putting all those computations together, it took 7 years. So you can imagine, after the computation was done, everything has been compiled, and then again you have to do another census. Okay? So it was very tedious, and at that time there was a lot of immigration in the US. Okay? So it was projected that it will even take 13 years to compile. So after you've done census, you take another 13 years to compile everything, and then again the census is back, so it was chaotic. And then this scientist came up with this machine, and then what it did was it did 10 times faster than the manual tabulations of the census. Okay, and instead of 7 years, it took just 2 years. So you can imagine these computers at this time, people were suffering a lot, okay? Now, at that time, all of you have heard about IBM, the computer company, okay? Do you know of IBM? Yes. So this guy who created this machine, together with his team members, came together and they created something called International Business Machine Corporation, which is known as today as IBM. Okay? So this brings us to now the topic of today, computer science. what is computer science in the first place? Computer science is just a medium of problem solving and self-expression. By that, I mean a computer, okay, you can have a computer, you have freedom to do, to solve a specific problem. For instance, for the earliest computers, it was used to do the mathematical computation. So at that time, the problem that they were solving was the mathematical problem. So right now, for instance, let me bring the point home, closer to you. All of us know what WhatsApp is.
No.
You don't know what WhatsApp is?
Yes.
You know what Instagram is? You don't know what it is? You know what Facebook is? You don't know what it is? That means you know. Yeah. So, what it was used for, okay, there are certain people who saw there's a problem and they needed to solve that problem. For Facebook, they saw that there's a problem for people to connect and they came up with Facebook for people to connect. So, in the discipline of computer sciences, you have a problem and you need to solve that problem, okay? And you solve that by expressing yourself to create this problem. For instance, Facebook, the founder of Facebook. Who's the founder of Facebook? Yeah, you already know Facebook and you say that you don't know Facebook. So it's Mark. Okay, who's the founder? Mark Zuckerberg. He wanted to connect people. So he himself, he created Facebook. And then who knows the founder of WhatsApp?
Oh no.
Let me tell you a little bit about him. So the founder of WhatsApp, he was originally from around a country in Ukraine, and he went to the United States. So he immigrated into the United States, and then in the United States, he found it very difficult to communicate with the parents at home and the family at home. So what he did, by self-expression, he used computer science knowledge to create that tool to be able to communicate with his parents and his family back at home in Ukraine. And then after he managed to do that, he saw it was a cool project, and that's where now he released it to the world. And people loved it. So even for me, I use WhatsApp each and every day, and it's a very, very important tool for communication. So that's how computer science can be able to manifest itself. So you have a problem that you need to solve, and through self-expression and maybe the challenges that you're undergoing, you use that knowledge, that is the knowledge of programming and giving instructions to the computer to be able to create a machine, okay? So maybe you're in high school and you want to be a computer scientist. Maybe you're envisioning yourself, you want to be a computer scientist. Maybe you're asking yourself, where can you be able to work after that? So take a look at that. You can be able to work at Google. Who knows what Google is? Everyone knows that. So you don't know about that? That is interesting, but I assume that you know. Okay, so you can work at Google, you can work at Twitter, you can work at Facebook, you can work at NASA, and these are just the big companies, but you can work in these companies. And an interesting thing about these companies is that you have free food if you're a computer scientist, you have free food, you have free laundry, and everything. Okay, everyone will think that you are a genius for working at these companies, okay? But it's just because of the computer science knowledge because it's really, really interesting and it is very scarce, but it's something that everyone can do, okay? So, okay, maybe you want to pursue your goal. Maybe you should ask yourself, there are those people who want money, there are those people for passion. So computer science gives you all of that. So you have, if you want money, you can get money. If you want happiness, actually it's in terms of job satisfaction. So in the world, the best job for in terms of happiness and satisfaction, computer science comes second. So for computer scientists, they have self-satisfaction in terms of happiness. They are the second after the professors. So after the professors, you have the computer scientists. So you can get money. You're free in what you're doing. That is, you be satisfied with your job. You can, there's good job security because there are just less people who are in the computer science field, and the jobs are so many. So people who are employed, they tend to stick to their job. That is, you're being paid well, and everything goes on in your hands. So we are not going to fill all the jobs for computer scientists right now because the number of people who are graduating out of campus, they can't be able to fill all the jobs that are available currently. That's why computer science right now is one of the most important disciplines for you to pursue. And maybe you want to ask yourself, how can I get involved into computer science in the first place? We know of computer games, right? Computer games are very interesting, and once you interact with that, it can be able to, you start asking yourself, how are these objects in this computer game very intelligent? Maybe you're playing some kind of a soccer and you imagine how the people who created that piece of software, so they are computer scientists who created that. So maybe something like video games, and you know what selfies are? You don't know what selfies are. So in terms of if computer science didn't exist, there could be no video games, there could be no selfies, and all the cool stuff that we enjoy each and every day. Okay. So, who has ever heard of computer science before? Apart from today, before? Just by the raise of, just raise your hands, just to take a tally straight up, so that I can be able to take notes. Just a few of us, right? Okay. Why is it so? Why is it like most of you don't know about computer science before? So why is it like no, okay, most of you don't know about computer science and it's taking all over the world. It's like in 60% of, it's like in the emerging jobs, 60% of the emerging jobs will be in computer science. Why is it that most of you don't know about computer science? And to answer this, maybe it's because maybe you don't know, it's because of the culture, and also it's because of the way of teaching. Okay? So the culture for computer science is a little bit weird because most of people who know about that is like you stay late in the night, you code all night, or you try to program the computers all night. But to some extent it's true because actually my calendar is a little bit different in terms of I sleep during the day sometimes and then work during the night because I concentrate more during the night in terms of computing, like doing the programming, I do it during the night. So the culture, maybe most of the people think about the culture. Yes, there's that problem of the culture, but also you need, in terms of teaching, most of the teachers, actually you have computer studies in school, right? You have computer studies, but it's not computer science. Actually, computer studies helps you, okay, it's a building block for computer science. Okay? Have you learned about computer science and computer studies? Yeah, so it's just an introductory course for you to take, computer science. Okay, so now I'm going to take this question and ask those who are ahead of us. For you, what influenced your choice of field? And did you have a basic understanding of your field? What influenced your choice for your field? And did you have basic understanding for that?
From the beginning, not really. I went on discovering myself as I progressively acquired knowledge.
Awesome. Hey, hello.
I didn't know what I wanted to become when I grew up, when I was in high school like you guys. But I say I'm not going to university if I'm not going to be a professional. Alright? So I could understand a lot of things because I was in a village school. So what happened? I had to study like crazy. I told you mathematics is good because you have to read. So then those days we used to have Form 6, it's called advanced level high school. So would you listen to me please? You know, I feel like I'm any study biology, physics, chemistry and mathematics. MPCB. And then I was told your school is so village level, it doesn't take anyone to any university. Yeah. Guess what? That year I got an A in biology, and I was the top of biology in the whole Kenya, of this country, and so I was admitted to School of Medicine. See, that's how I got into medicine. Yeah, I became a doctor. I didn't know what kind of doctor I was going to be. I just studied hard. Then I became a neurologist. Then I was given scholarship to go to Europe. And then I went to Europe. I studied in France. I learned French from zero. When I was already an adult, and learned to pass exams in French and do medicine in French and talk to people, patients in French. Then I went from there. I told the World Health Organization, I want to go home, give me some money. They said, we have some money, but when the money came, it came from the United States government. So the US government said, you're not going to spend this money in Kenya, you go to America. That's where it came from. You know, the money is American. So American, when they give you money, they don't want you to come and spend it in Africa. They say, go to the USA and study there. So I went to the United States, studied more neurology, and then I found that medicine that is there in the United States is so advanced to do here in Kenya. Then I started thinking about how do we bring all this medicine home to Kenya. I said, you have to make money. We create money. I went to School of Business and Finance and money. I did a PhD. So just follow. But you have to study. I'm working in the hospital and do a PhD during the night. Yeah? Read a lot. All work during the day, all night study. Not from 3 a.m. From when I get home to the morning, then I go to work. So, yeah, and then I saw, now we want to build hospitals. Started working on helping people design hospitals. I was admitted to School of Architecture as a visiting professor. So, what influenced my choice of field? It was already inside. I didn't have to choose it. Like you said, like what Mrs. Bobby said, you are already chosen. So, all you have to do is study Ushachaguliwa. Before you were born, God knew what you're going to become. Sindio? That's what he said. So, don't worry about what you will become. You already have it inside yourself. Just worry that you know mathematics very well. You know English, you know Swahili, you know everything. You study, and you will find even people come to give you money. Like the way the French people came here and told me, let's go to Europe. You have to study in Europe. Then I said, I'm done with Europe, I'm going home. The Americans come and tell me, no, let's go to the United States. So, all you have to do, ufanye kazi wa bidii. There's a lot of money in this world for you. Alright, that was too long.
Okay. The reason as to why I asked them that is, are we all together? Or should I leave it there? So I need you to follow me, okay? Okay. So they've said what influenced their choice, and you know what you want to become, right? For those people who want to become computer scientists, the journey starts from now, okay? So if you know that you want to be a computer scientist, you have to work extra hard and very hard. I won't lie to you. Because I myself, going through computer science and mathematics, it was the best rewarding experience for me to be a computer scientist, just as how I am at the moment, okay? And I can share with Doctor here. I created a piece of software a year ago, and it was identified by the German government, okay? Who's the chancellor for Germany? You know her? She's called Angela Merkel. Actually, what she did is she created some kind of a hackathon in Kenya, and then after being identified, we were selected with the project to go to Berlin, Germany, and present to the world, because it was a healthcare project, to present to the world in terms of how developing countries can use computer stuff, that is a computer program, that is in computer science, to change the world, okay? So in this era, right now, instead of just interacting with technology, from interacting with Facebook and WhatsApp, just step back and try to understand how was these applications, or how was Facebook created, how was Instagram created. Once you have once you have those questions in mind, you can take any problem and you can use computer science to solve that problem. Maybe it's corruption. Computer science is the best way to get rid of corruption. You want to do predictive medicine. Artificial intelligence is there, and artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science, okay? So at primary and secondary level, computer science is not offered. And computer science is not offered. I feel so bad about that, but the ball is in our court right now. You want to learn computer science, you have to get interested in it. Passion is the first thing. Without passion, you can never do computer science. If you're doing it because of just other people are doing it, you're on the wrong track, or you'll be on the wrong track. So what you need to do is you should have a lot of passion, and then once you start, it's very hard. Even for me, it was very hard, extra hard. But what I did is I used to concentrate. Actually, like in the past years, I've slept just like for each and every day, apart from Saturday because I go to church on Saturday. I concentrate so much on reading. I concentrate around like reading, doing my work, reading up to around 12:30, sometimes 2 a.m. in the night. So it's sacrifice, and the best thing for you to do is to sacrifice right now. If I sleep at around 2, I'm not saying that you should sleep at that time. That is because of my own program. What I'm trying to say is I've devoted a lot of my time in doing what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm competing with a lot of people who are in postgraduate level doing computer science stuff. I haven't reached yet at that level, but they can be able to recognize my work and they're saying, Allan, you're doing a great job. I want you to explain it to me how you did it and also advise us on what we should do next. Okay? So, computer science is the best prize for me, and also it's the best prize for us all, those people who want to do computer science. Okay? But number one, I've said, what is the most important thing? Passion for that. And also you should do well in mathematics. I always say that mathematics is like the language of the universe. Okay? Who has ever tried to talk to a small kid and be surprised that you give, okay, as much as they can't say that 1 plus 1 is 2, they already know that in their own mind. Even animals can be able to count. That is interesting. So mathematics is the language of the universe. Without mathematics, you can't do physics. That's why you can't do chemistry without that. So mathematics is a very, very important thing. And you can take mathematics and at a higher level, you can take mathematical equation, create your own mathematical equation, and use computer science to create artificially intelligent machines. Right now, you've heard of robots, you've heard of self-driving cars. Okay, so it's all because of computer science and mathematics. Okay. All right. So. I'm going to take a few questions for those people who have questions, so that I can be able to conclude. Okay? Anyone who has a question? Any question? Oh, you don't have questions? Once I go out of here, you...
Sorry, questions from this side. Did you raise
There's one here.
Okay.
When you are a programmer, can you be programmer and be a system analyst at the same time? And also, because you are told money is important, how much do you earn by being a programmer and being a system analyst?
Okay, so there's this job description. So for system analysts, what they do is they try to understand and to analyze how the system will be built. Okay, and then the programmers are the ones who come and implement what the system design, the system analyst has done, and also to evaluate what has been programmed. I haven't said that money is important, but what it means is once you are in computer science, so long as you have the passion, money will follow because it's a very, very paying job. Okay, so just to give you a rough estimate, but I don't think that is important at this moment, but just a rough estimate, just go and do your math. For 1 year, a programmer that is an entry-level programming, a programmer can be able to get up to 130,000 US dollars per year. Just go and think about that. So you have to convert it into Kenyan money. So it's 130 US dollars per year. A system analyst just way low below that, close around 80,000, but it depends. But most of the, if you are a system analyst, actually you have some programming knowledge. Yeah, so it revolves around the same range.
Thank you. Any other question?
An interesting question.
$130,000 is 13 million shillings. You'll be a millionaire before you even get started.
13 million shillings per year?
Yeah. That divide that by 12, it's a lot more than 1.something million shillings a month. How about that? All because you love mathematics, silly. And of course you have to study like nobody's business. Because you're not competing with yourself. There are hundreds and thousands of people in the world, Chinese, Vietnamese, people from where? Argentina, they all want those jobs. But the jobs are more than the people. Because why? Because the world is getting rapidly computerized. Next question. Swali ingine. Dadi swali?
Yeah, for computer science, one of the best schools here in Kenya, or universities here in Kenya, for computer science is the University of Nairobi, and they have a very high cluster of around close to 77. Yeah, from 77, because the highest is 78. Yeah, exactly. That is from 76 onwards, you can be able to take computer science. And just to tell you a little bit of sorry to say, more Kenya. So I'm going to give you something very important. Are you listening? But it's from my own opinion, okay? Aim at joining international universities like the MITs and the Stanfords and the Harvards, okay? Especially for engineering and science courses, okay? Take that dearly to you. It will help you so much. And for you to do that, you need to pass very well, because actually in all of Africa, okay, in all the intakes they take for these universities, 10% are out of the United States. And in this 10%, you're competing with China, you're competing with Europe, you're competing with other people in Africa. Actually, around just less than 10 people in Kenya are enrolled into these outside universities. And the reason as to why I'm advising you to aim at those international universities is because of this. Have you ever seen space exploration in Kenya? Oh. Have you seen that? Have you seen something like an astronomer? Okay, something to do with astronaut. Have you ever seen an astronaut who's from Africa? No. But have you ever seen a computer scientist? There's a computer scientist. He's called Elon Musk. He started a company called SpaceX. Okay? And also he started a company called Tesla. for solar-powered vehicles or electric powered vehicles. That is, if you want to excel in engineering and this, you want to be an astronaut, you want to be a physicist. Okay, who's the non-physicist who is in the books around the world and he comes from Africa? It's because you need to, there's this level of knowledge that you can't get in our local university because we are a developing country. Once you strive in enrolling into already developed countries, it will open up your mind. Just a good narrative is, I had never been on a plane before. Who has ever been to a plane before? Okay, who has ever been to a developed country before? So once you go to these developing countries, your life will never be the same again. The way you're thinking will change just because of the environment. The fact that you're in Kenya, it matters a lot. Once you break the boundaries and go to other countries and experience the culture and see what other people are doing, you'll come back home and you'll never sleep, just as how I'm doing right now, okay? So strive to join universities out of Kenya. Let that be your first goal, and then once maybe things are not right, at least you land in the University of Nairobi or some other good university in Kenya. But strive for the best of the best. And it's a guarantee, once you go into these universities, you can do whatever you want in the field that you've chosen. If you want to do space exploration, you can be able to do that. If you want to do physics, normal physics like the advanced physics, it's offered, yes, in the University of Nairobi, but it's not the same as to other universities like MIT and Stanford, okay? So strive to go into these universities. Once you get your results and you've managed to get into these universities, you'll remember me, that's for sure.
Thank you, Allan. By the way, Allan is right. Now let me ask you, that 10% that the US, they call the Great Lake colleges, reserved for foreigners, is that smaller than this population here? Are we more than 10%? Oh, this means that we can all go to MIT if we wanted. Now I will tell you the secret. I'm about to tell you the secret. Okay? This is how you get to MIT. There are about 10 universities, technology universities, that are in the United States that have got scholarship for children in Kenya. They have scholarship, it's free. You're not going to MIT and pay for your education. Why would you pay? You can't afford it, it's very expensive. It's $100,000 a year. That's how many? How many millions? Millions. It's 10 million shillings a year, school fees. Utalipa namna gani? Wezi. Sawa. But because MIT is very rich, they'll give you the money to go there. Why will they give you the money? When you do what? What do you have to do for you to get MIT money? You have to sweep the board. Ever heard of sweeping the board? You have to get all the scores. So your job is just to get the scores. You don't have to do anything else. And then I introduce you to how to do the application. You apply. You can apply to MIT, California Tech, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. You can apply to Stanford. You can apply to Harvard. They'll give you money for free. There are many universities, run university, and they will give you the money to go there. We just have to work together and show you how to apply. The rest is your job. I told you the French people came for me right here in Nairobi. I never planned to go to France because I couldn't even speak French. Understand? The French government said you have to go to France and study. I don't know what they wanted from me, but of course they just need money for you so long as you work hard. You don't have to do anything else. Forget Instagram, forget Facebook, forget your phone, Forget everything else. Just go and get those scores. Yeah? They don't have to be perfect scores. But if you get very good grades, and you have applied, and you have coming from this school, believe it or not, they're going to give you scholarship. And you're going to go there. Okay? When you go there, a lot of opportunities. Open your mind, really. You meet people you used to think, what? Mystery people. I met people who made the mouse. Those guys who made computers. I found people who made new medicines. People who discovered anesthesia. I used to think they were not human beings when I was in Kenya. Young like you. But you go to Boston, you get surprised. Even the people who invented electric sound that makes a speaker, a microphone. Right now you are talking, it sounds like what? We take it for granted. There's a lot of science that takes sound from here to that place. Now when you meet people like that, then you begin to understand. Okay? Those people are very kind. They want you to know, and they want to bring the knowledge here. That's why I'm back here, so we can do these things. You want to find yourself at the top level of education in the world. Of course, as I told you, there's severe competition. But you have one great advantage. In this country, we learn in English. Do you know what language they teach in China? Chinese. And yes, Chinese kids are able to get those scholarships because they study day and night, even when they come to the United States, they are speaking English in less than a month. How? Because they are not distracted. They don't have these things of phones and drugs and everything. They get down and study. You have never seen a Chinese kid study. Why are they here? Because they read 16 hours a day. 16. That is after class. I know, because I've worked with them. They study like nobody's business. You go home and come back and find the guy still there studying. And then they read a textbook like a novel. So, they own a textbook like this, young people, like yourselves. And they're flipping pages. Yeah? Because they get the culture of reading. Now that is the competition you face. To create artificial intelligence on the computer, you have to know what you're doing. Then you go out in the world. Of course, there's a lot of money. So, there's no shortage of money for hardworking people in the world. So, there is no shortage of money for you. You will find yourself having a lot of money, and people are coming to give you money, and then you wonder, why are they bringing money? Okay? There is no shortage of money. So what you do is that you want your job, as I said earlier, nothing else, just to study. Okay? Just read, sweep the board, get all the scores, and you see everyone will come out to support you. People are cheerleaders. Have you been to a football game? Even the village. See, what do? You cheer up the people who are winning, the winning team. When you go for the volleyball team, it's the same. That's the same with education. When you're winning, everyone wants to be behind you. When you're failing, no one wants to be with you. Okay? So you want to win, you study. And study good. Let that mathematics know that I know you, alright? Mina kujua sana. Let the physics know I know you. Geography, people ask you a question about geography. Don't start saying Malawi is in Argentina. What is that? You get your knowledge straight. Study your English well. You go and talk to the people. They say, this one knows English and she's black. How about that? You know? People don't know that you can know English because you're black. Yeah? Shock them out of their roots. And so, get on the side of knowledge. Get on the side of knowledge and everything else will come to you. But of course, as we said in the morning, it is the attitude towards knowledge itself. You have to, if you have a positive attitude toward knowledge, then the knowledge finds its way to you. And if your knowledge was only 98%, it becomes that 100% of attitude plus 98, you are 198% positive. So, okay, any more questions for Mr. Allan?
example, you identified the project that you did as a programmer. As you made a software that was identified by the German government. Can I be around maybe to improve on your project, that one in the software, or should I create my own and start at the base?
So there are two ways in which you can do that. That is, first of all, from the first principles, get the knowledge, okay? After getting the knowledge, you can join other people who have already got ideas, because it's not easy to come up with ideas, okay? Most of the ideas fail. So, you join those people who have already built upon their own ideas and help them on that. Or, you can start something on your own. But, if you're crazy enough, that is, if you're feeling that your idea is one of the most extraordinary ideas ever, okay? So that's something that you can do. And I want to show you something about, maybe you wonder how is a computer programmed in the first place? What is going on? What is the computer doing and stuff like that? So you know your calculators, right? You take two numbers, 2 plus 2, and you get. So we are going to create a simple calculator right now, a simple calculator to add the biggest number that we can think of, okay? From the smallest 1 plus 1 to the highest that I'll take randomly from you, okay? So, in our work, it's just like a language, okay? For instance, once you do something like you learn about French, the same, you have to learn the computer programming language. That is, the computer doesn't know how to do things. You have to explicitly tell it how to handle instructions from you. So we are going to program this computer right now to add two small numbers up to one of the biggest number that we can't compute in our head, but the computer will do it for us without using an inbuilt calculator for the computer. So we are going to do it right now. So I'm going to maximize it. So this is our lab. For computer science, your lab is your computer, okay? So this is our lab. So we are going to start there, and we are going to create something called a function. A function is just something that does something, okay? Okay, so the first thing is, once we create a function, we use some kind of a keyword. A keyword is something that has reserved and you can never use it in your own things, okay? So that keyword is like English. You just write, I want to define a function. So that is DEF. So that is saying I want to define a function, and this function is going to take two things. It's going to take number 1 and separating it with a comma, and it's going to take number 2. Okay? So that is a function, and this function we must give it a name. So this function, we are defining a function and naming it. It's going to add two numbers, right? So we are going to give it a name of add. Okay? So function add number 1 and number 2. And then after that, what we do is we end, like in English, how you end your sentence with a full stop. You end with that, okay? You end with a semicolon, and then you do it's called indentation for us. Just as how you arrange paragraphs. For each and every new paragraph, you jump at least like 1 centimeter. So for us, we jump like 4 lines of code, 4 spaces, and then we now come and say we want to take the number. We want to take number 1, and then we want to add number what? Number 2. Okay? And then these 2 numbers is our answer, okay? Or our result. So we say result, okay? Result equals to results equals to number 1 plus number 2. And then we say we want to return this result for us to see. So we say return the result. Okay? And our program is already done. Okay? So we go to the next step. So we want to add 2 numbers. Now we've created this function. It's to add 2 numbers that we give it, and then it returns the answer. Okay? So what we'll do is we just call the name of the function. That is, I want you to add 2 numbers. Give me a number. I'm going to just put 2 numbers, 5,000, right? And then the second number, 8,000. You know the answer, right? So let's see. The answer is 1,300. So let's take the biggest number, the biggest number that you can think of, that we can't do it with our own heads right now. So let me just type randomly 7, 6, what. That is crazy, right? And then take the second number, add that. So how many minutes will it take for you to add those numbers? A long time. So let's see how many minutes will the computer take. Just a second, like a millisecond, and that is the answer. So for computer scientists, we tell the computer to do certain things. Okay? So I can give you this calculator, and it does just one thing, addition, and you can use it wherever. So you can have the biggest idea, from the simple idea like a calculator to the biggest idea of solving maybe the problem in coming up with a cure in cancer. You can be able to do it with that. Okay, so thanks so much for your time, and we'll meet next time. Okay.